Recording episode 152. What's up, Neil?
152.
Yeah.
Dude, it's taking a second to get this one set up and ready.
Man, so we are making some big changes at Top Hill Recording. We're videoing our podcast for the first time after 3 years.
Interesting setup.
We've combined One Shot and Top Hill Recording podcast into one program. So we'll see how it goes. And not only have we made all these changes tonight, we've done it a man short. We don't have our partner Brent here with us because he had a work engagement he couldn't get out of.
Unacceptable for the amount of money he gets paid. It's unacceptable.
Regardless, though, we are here and we have a great guest, and I'm excited about this. So we've got Vincent Gleeson with us. Welcome, Vincent.
Hello.
Hey, Vincent. Thanks
Good
for coming,
to have
man.
you here, man.
Yeah, thank you all very much for having me.
And Vincent, Neil and I are going to have a little Knob Creek 9-year-old, and Neil, you're going to get poisoned by that, man, because I haven't even...
Woo!
Cheers,
oh,
man.
My bad. I was just making sure I could still do it after the other night. Sorry about that.
Not heavy duty into that kind of stuff for me. It's mainly the coffee and tobacco.
That stuff's good, too. My problem is I drink that, too.
I can go with coffee. I'm not a tobacco guy.
Yeah.
I will have a cigar every now and then, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Cigars are pretty good, man.
Yeah.
All right, Vincent, why don't you start us off? Why don't you go back to childhood and tell us about your early memories of music? And then at what point, if there's anything that stands out as a time that you really got heavily into music?
Well, as a child, I primarily heard music from my mother. I lived with her. She would occasionally play CDs in the car. Most of the time it was classic rock, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, and Mazzy Star, surprisingly. Like when I was about maybe 5 years old, actually one of the earliest music memories I have is hearing Fade Into You for the first time. And I was instantly in love with that, it's to this day, I still love Mazzy Star, for sure. AC/DC and Led Zeppelin every now and again.
Every now and then you just gotta hear some AC/DC.
Oh, dude, AC/DC will get you going when you need to get going.
Yeah. So how old were you when you first picked up the guitar?
Well, I picked it up when I was around 7, but I didn't really start playing until I was around 12. I used to kind of like bang on it like a drum when I was like a very small child. And then I think as I got older, I actually started to play it because there was a music class that I had in school. There were other people that were playing piano and guitar and stuff, and I figured I'd try to get into it a little bit. But my uncle was a pretty good guitar player, and I'd watch him play. And sometimes I'd pick up stuff that he was doing, but didn't really take many lessons or anything like that, though. No. So
just pick it up off of watching him mostly.
Watching a lot of other people. Yeah. Over the years. Not so much. No.
Yeah.
I liked just the kind of the learning where I'm able to actually see the person in person, but I didn't really have a lot of money for lessons, so I'd typically just go around whoever was playing and just watch them.
That's always a good way to learn, man. Emulating. They say Tony Rice listened to Clarence White that way. He was just brought up. The guy was in the same vicinity as him, and as a kid, he would just sit there and watch his fingers, and fascinated over the bluegrass stuff and the some of the picking and grinning he was doing back in the day. So it was a huge influence, but it also taught him a ton just sitting and watching.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you immediately love the guitar? Is that something did you, are you one of those that once you started playing, you played all the time?
I took it very seriously. Yeah. I originally did it because I wanted to pick up girls, but I actually ended up taking it really seriously, though. When I got older, I lived in Lexington, Kentucky, right? And there was this gang of guys who used to congregate under these train tracks. I'd walk around town and stuff, and they were all musicians, and they were guys who were busking and doing their own thing. They'd actually been kicked out of a lot of bars and stuff. They were on the sidelines of everything, and they could play very good jazz and country covers and stuff. And sometimes I'd watch them as well. And around like 15, 16 years old, and they inspired me quite a bit. to form the style that I have now, which I feel like comes from the ground. What they were doing wasn't something that, just anybody could go, hey, check this out, and then they copy it. It was most of the time pretty real. It's just one guy who, when he would play, his hands would go like that over the guitar. It was kind of wild. I don't know. Just like his fingers were jumping instead of just like,
Did you pick that up?
Somewhat. I think in a certain sense.
Well, man, why don't we just jump right in?
All right,
why don't we go ahead and hear a tune?
New setup, new song, new time.
Yeah. So we we typically do the podcast, Vincent. You've probably heard a few, but we do the podcast and then we have the one shot separate. But we're going to go this format now and try video. And listeners, if you're watching this on video, that means tonight worked. So congratulate us. All right, what are you going to play for us?
This is a song that was I actually co-wrote with a friend of mine who's in prison now. I don't know if he'd really want his name out there necessarily, but yeah, this song is called "My Heart Was Sick."
The Bolsheviks been using freedom tricks. She said, baby boy, I know you're fixed. Would you like a mansion where all your spirits pine? Teardrops are employed by lucid lids. Say goodbye to pain when you're on my brain, and like a broken toy of uselessness, seeking soul repair from all the world's despair, failure to destroy the crucifix. My heart was sick. She said, baby boy, I know you're fixed. Instead of writing songs, you should come along on a trip to Tennessee. That's fine by me. If we drink all night or smoke ourselves a kite, suppressing memories, I know you'll see. Good things take some work. All these feelings hurt like dying seeds of trees or growing sprees. Said she'd grow with me, would raise a family, would love me for a long infinity. My heart was sick. She said, baby boy, I know you're fixed.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, man. Yeah. So how long has that song been around?
A couple of years. Actually just getting over a little bit of a cold. So like throat is still kind of scratchy, but
Yeah. Well, you got some vocal acrobatics going on there in your songs. Yeah. You push yourself a little bit. Yeah. So your playing style there, you reminded me, I remember we had Dylan Owens in here.
Yeah.
Is it Owens or Owen?
Dylan Weber Owen.
Owen,
I think.
no S. Dylan Weber Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he told us about you and said you really ought to have Vincent Gleeson in. So do you guys play together?
Oh, we have. Yeah, I respect Dylan a lot. I think he's a very good player. Honestly, probably a bit more technically proficient than I am, but
he's one of the most technical, for sure.
Yeah, definitely a great player. We played at Old Louisville Coffee Shop together. That's about, I think, the only show that we've done together, but we've jammed and stuff like after open mics and, gotten to know each other that way.
So did you play the style you do now, finger picking? Did you start that early?
I was mainly strumming early on, and I was focusing more on writing lyrics. And I think as I kept progressing as a player, I started finger picking more, and then the lyrics and the finger picking became kind of synonymous with each other, as opposed to just, because I feel like there's a lot of singer-songwriters that either have one or the other, like I'll listen to like, I don't know, for instance, like Harry Chapin or something. And I kind of appreciate the finger style and stuff. I feel like the lyrics can be kind of campy and whatnot. I don't know. I focused a lot on songwriting when I first started and guitar playing as I kept, I think, going forward. That's what I'm trying to say.
How would you describe your music, in typical terms we're used to hearing description of genres and things?
Maybe like jazz folk or something.
Okay, yeah.
That seems kind of like a decent tag for it, I guess. I don't worry too much about labeling what I'm doing. But I've heard a lot of people say that it's pretty folky, so I guess I'll go with that. Yeah.
So you prior to us hitting record on all these cameras and everything else, you had mentioned that you spent the last few years busking.
Yeah, pretty much
for your living.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah.
So what is it? Number one, how do you make not only the decision but kind of end up busking and going, all right, I can hustle and make this money, and then 3 years later you're still doing it?
I met some guys that were doing it back in the day when I lived in Lexington, Kentucky, and they became very good players doing it. And I figured if I was going to get as good as they were, then I really had to dedicate more time to it. And so I decided to just do what Charlie Patton would do. I figured, well, if he's going to do it, why not me? I ended up going out there in front of Kroger and Speedway and all these different places and playing for hours on end, and collecting donations mainly, just taking what's given, not really asking for anything, but it was an interesting time early on in Lexington doing it because of the fact that I kind of went from place to place. I didn't live in one place for very long, and it felt like an adventure, and it still does to this day.
I would think there's so much that you learn doing that, out there regularly playing for strangers that really didn't come to listen to music. What have you learned, about yourself, about playing, about how to entertain? What are some things you've learned from that experience?
Well, when you play the same song about 50 times, it's really hard to screw it up after that. When there were certain days where I would actually write new songs while busking, occasionally. So, I mean, it was pretty inspirational, really, at times. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some not so good times doing it. Like, if I'm ever in like I don't really do this anymore, but when I was in like a bad neighborhood and I had to walk to like the nearest gas station to do it, a couple of times there'd be like a guy trying to grab the tin that I was using to busk with, and like, remember one time I grabbed this guy and I had him in like a headlock. I was like, just drop it. And I forgot that it was glass, right? And he dropped it and this glass just shattered and there was cash and coins lying all over the parking lot. I was just like, and, it's one of those things where, it sort of hardens you, but I think in a sense, it can also make you softer in the places where it counts,
So, like, when you did you have any expectations on what you thought you could make, or was it about making money? Was it just about getting better? Or was it? Were you surprised by the generosity of others at some points? I mean,
it restores your faith in humans. Yeah, I think after a while, when you speak to enough people.
Can it do both? Can restore your faith and restore the faith that people suck?
You had some bad apples every now and again, but a lot of the time the people were pretty nice. I appreciated them.
Most days you don't have to put anybody in a headlock.
No, that was pretty rare. But some people had what I would call bus rider syndrome occasionally, where they would sit down and talk with me, and sometimes I'd listen to them for 20 to 30 minutes, go on about their lives, and I every now and again kind of appreciate it. But it got to the point in certain areas where it was just all the time, and I would gather a lot of people around occasionally while I was playing because they were kind of impressed by the finger picking and stuff, and be this whole crowd of people just looking down. Then that was usually when the manager came out and said, "All right, you got to go. You gotta do this here. We've already talked about this 7 or 8 times." But, it teaches you persistence as well. Yeah, because it's definitely one thing, I think, to get out there, but it's another thing when you've been kicked out like 7 times to just keep it going, which
Jeez,
I sometimes did.
I could imagine. That's some persistency.
Yeah.
That's really wanting to do it or figure out a way to make a living from it, I mean,
how many days a week?
Oh, I was doing it at least 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was doing it for hours a day, but occasionally I'd make like $150 in a couple hours, so it wasn't that bad, but every now and again I couldn't make very much within a given day, so fluctuated,
So most of this 3-year period, and I guess you don't have to answer this, or it's up to you, but were you, were you couch surfing? Did you have a place where you?
Yeah, I was mainly couch surfing. Yeah. I and then there were points where I stayed in a place for around 6 months. It's a buddy of mine. He's kind of an addict, I wasn't really into that stuff. I've never really been that deep into that stuff, but this guy basically needed a roommate to keep his place going, and I figured if he lets me stay there and I only have to pay about $200 a month, that's not bad. And I basically lived in a kitchen for a little while, So, I mean, I've definitely gone through changes within my life regarding financial situation and just wanting to have adventures. I figure there's part of me that almost appreciates the chaotic element of getting out there and not really knowing what's going to happen. Nowadays it seems as if my life's gotten a lot more uniform. I have an apartment now that I stay in and write songs and chill out and do a lot of manual labor work nowadays, a bit more so than I do busk. Last time I busked was maybe about 4 months ago.
Oh, really?
It's been a little bit, but yeah, that period where I was doing it every day, I made a lot of friends doing that, and I think it was a pretty special thing, and I don't really regret it, But of course, you have like your family being like, "You need to get a job," It's just like, yeah, probably. Probably.
Are you playing gigs currently?
Yeah, I get them going on. I'm actually, I think, playing in March. I think it's on March 16th at Surface Noise.
Yeah.
If either one of you know Brett.
Brett. He's been on the podcast. Great dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very interesting guy. He knows a lot about literature and music.
Yeah. We talk quite a bit. We're both pretty into that stuff, and we both had pretty interesting, upbringings and whatever.
There's probably not anybody that knows more about the Louisville punk rock scene than him.
No, I wouldn't say so.
I would say you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's asked me to play around March 16th, and I'm going to try to get down there. Then I'll try to set up some other shows in the meantime.
Well, speaking of playing.
Yeah, let's hear another one, man.
Yeah, for sure.
What you got for us?
I'll do actually a guitar composition here. This one is called Requiem for Gabriella Blanton.
Yeah. Nice. Wow, that's mesmerizing. What's that?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, see, like, because I'm so, like, anal about it, I was listening to it, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I don't know.
You heard your mistakes?
Yeah, every time. Even if I'm, like, getting into it, it's like, I don't know.
That's the way it always works, man.
Yeah.
You're always going to hear them.
Yeah. Well, it sounded great.
Yeah, thank you.
How long's that one been around?
Around maybe half a year.
Yeah.
Half a year old, yeah.
So that was pretty new.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Dedicated that song to a girl that I met in the psych ward. And, well, she overdosed not long ago, left us. So that was, Requiem funeral song. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, that sucks to hear, man.
Yeah, it happens, yeah.
Did you play it at her funeral?
I couldn't go. Yeah, I was wrapped up in other stuff. I was out of the state.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had quite a few friends actually pass away last year, and it kind of hurts, but at the same time, it really teaches you to value the people that you have around, while they're here, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, while you're playing that song, and I was watching that right hand work. I was watching both your hands, but got to watching that right hand, man. I bet it's a tragedy when you break a nail, huh?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I've had points where I've broken like these two nails, right? And it's just impossible to like get it going the same way that I had it going.
Lead press on, baby. Lead press on.
Yeah, I typically did. Yeah, it was just, I try to clip them now to where they're not going to break off all the time. Get them right, Yeah.
Number one reason I won't be a finger picker, man.
All right, well,
I couldn't. Kim wouldn't let me.
I don't even know if I told you about this little mini segment.
Oh, mini segments.
All right, so we got another little mini segment we're adding. We're about halftime.
It's pretty good, so man. You're not good for changes. This is good.
Oh, I'm the change dude.
Master?
Yeah, heck yeah.
And the change doesn't bother you?
We got 3 questions for you, Vincent.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I don't like changes.
So the first thing is, what is something about you, non-music related, that people should know about you?
Delve pretty deep into the spirit regarding God. Pretty religious. I would say more so than probably most, honestly.
Are you religious? Or are you spiritual?
I mean, I feel like connotations behind it can sometimes be a little weird, but
are you an active member of a church?
Do you give 10% to somewhere?
I don't really have that kind of cash at the moment.
That's what I always say too.
Yeah, I've pretty much. I like studying the traditions of Christianity and Buddhism and just ancient mythology in general. And I try to actually get to Mass when I can, Catholic Mass, Latin Mass. So, yeah, I would say that's, it's still a part of the music, though, I think, necessarily, because it's creative energy and instills creative energy. I oftentimes will pray if I can't write music, So I'd say to an extent, it's all somewhat contingent within the music, even the stuff that isn't music related, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, you hear that all the time from musicians. You don't really understand where your inspiration comes from, or the creativity that goes into songwriting.
Yeah.
All right, so question number 2. Tell us about a nightmare gig or the most embarrassing thing you can remember has happened to you on stage. Or maybe in your case, busking also.
When I was younger, I was kind of losing my mind, and I started wearing like a dress while I was busking. That was kind of embarrassing. Like I remember doing that.
Was it embarrassing at the time or afterwards thinking back on it?
Yeah, just overall. Yeah, it's something that I remember doing that I felt like, I've looked back at certain pictures that have been taken of me around that time, and I'm like, yeah.
Trendsetter, man.
Yeah,
Trendsetter.
maybe so.
So you just wanted to wear a dress, or you just were trying to do something that would catch attention, or what
Hot
was
outside,
the
man.
motivation
It's hot
behind it?
outside. Had
It
to
was,
free up some.
yeah, it was really hot outside. It was pretty cheap. I appreciated the aesthetic at the time. I probably wouldn't do it now, though. Just not really my style anymore. You know, I also would wear like a grandma's house coat occasionally.
It would have been pretty cool if you would have come in here in a dress.
It's been pretty wild, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, just
I'd be looking up it right now from this camera, so I appreciate you not doing that. Thank you.
Yeah, you'd have to change your leg cross. All right, and then our final question for halftime here. Who is the last local artist you listened to?
Nicholas Teal.
Nicholas Steele.
Nicholas Teal.
Teal.
Teale.
Okay.
Yeah, a pretty good musician. He's trying to get himself out there. It's actually his guitar that I've borrowed for this particular show. So,
Thanks, Nicholas.
yeah, shout out to him. He's a great guy, very talented musician, finger picker, singer. Yeah.
What song? What song was the last one you listened to, or EP or album?
Locally?
No, of Nicholas.
Oh, In Limbo is his only. Well, it's not his only one out, but it's the one that's my favorite one. He raps on it, which is pretty interesting.
Oh, hell, there you go. Speaking of Nicholas,
Man of many talents, you know.
Nicholas Jamerson, man.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to get him on here. That's a Kentucky guy too. If you didn't know, now you know. Nicholas Jamerson, phenomenal. Listen to the guy.
We've crossed paths with a lot of Nicholases.
No kidding.
recently.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
No, you don't think there's that many in the world?
Many great kings were named Nicholas.
Well, they're all in the same family.
Hey, let's hear another one. You got another one for us?
Yeah.
All right.
What do we have?
Oh yeah, I suppose we gotta get back into some tuning. Oh, you're back.
This one is
That open D?
yeah. This is a
Okay.
Christian hymn. It's called "Blessed Be the Name of the Lord."
Yeah, man.
Nice. It's beautiful.
That was excellent. Another beauty.
Yeah.
It'll make you want to say a prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, while I was in Texas, went to actually the site where the siege in Waco happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went there. They actually turned it into this historical site. And I met one of the guys who was like an original member when all that happened, so it was pretty wild.
What was that guy's name?
David Koresh.
David Koresh was the leader. Yeah.
What year
it was
was
kind
that?
of a weird, it was around like the 90s.
Late 90s, early 90s, 90s-ish.
Is that the one that they basically
Murdered all
the
those
place with
people?
tanks?
Yeah, with kids and stuff.
Yeah.
It's messed up. Lit it on fire.
What I was going to relate back to that with was I played out in Austin, Texas. I played at an open mic, and a buddy of mine that had traveled down there with me said, it's a screaming prayer to the Lord, kind of like the Davidians. And I'm like, yeah. Wild. Yeah, we actually broke in there. We weren't supposed to be in there. But that's why when that guy came out and was so nice to us, we were just like, whoa, yeah.
Took your own tour, huh?
Well, we figured we're not going to be here again, and
What was it like in there?
it was really wild, man, because, the original structure was burnt down. So what they had in place of it was like a memorial site for the Davidians, ATF members that died. And it was a very, they had some original stuff there, but I'd read about it when I was, in middle school. I thought it was pretty interesting. And as I've gotten older, done a little bit more research on it, and I figured, I'm a bit into this stuff. Let's try to stop out there, and he was kind of into it, so we ended up doing it.
Sweet.
So, Vincent, our listeners that want to follow you a little more closely, where can they find you?
On Instagram at Gleeson.Vincent, Gleeson.Vincent, and also Vincent Gleeson Music, Vincent Gleeson Music.
Double E, Glee, not EA.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that mistake that. Yeah,
I did. That's why I was like, all right, don't pay attention to that phone ring.
Yeah. It's actually who I traveled with to Texas right there. Yeah.
He's calling to confirm the story.
Yeah. actually, this is what really happened.
Yeah, this is what really went down, man.
Yeah. But yeah.
His ears must have been burning.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't really have much stuff on Spotify or SoundCloud, but I have a little bit on YouTube. That's about it.
That's actually what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you that earlier. So with this is just a hands off. I don't know you, so it's kind of just guessing, but it seems like as much music as you've been playing, it's not something that you've been able to like save up money to record or spend time to record so you can put stuff out there to a wider audience, which is tough to do. It's tough to get, because even if you do record, you still got to, go through distribution and pay, even if it's $20 for a record or $50 to get it uploaded and do those things. Was part of the busking and maybe kind of getting a little bit more settled now, is that to be able to do some recording, get some stuff out there?
I used to record while I was busking. I had an Instagram channel for that. Got hacked. All those videos were taken off, man.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I had some followers on there. And people started to know me around town for it. It was a part of it. The busking was mainly something that I was doing, like everything that I seem to do, is more of an experience than anything else. I hardly ever seem to really do anything for the sake of, gaining a lot of cash or anything. I figured even if I was paid nothing busking, it was still pretty fun to do. So I figured I'd do it. Yeah.
Do you have any plans or any opportunities coming up to do any recording of your material?
Not really. I should probably set something up like that at some point, but it's it's one of those things where, you know, oftentimes I'm blowing money, blowing time. You know, I could probably do right by myself and get something like that together at some point.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Sure.
Though, you know.
Yeah, it'd definitely be nice to have, and I'm sure people would enjoy listening to it.
I've been trying to focus on writing short stories and stuff like that as well. My buddy and I have been trying to come up with a screenplay for something to film, and that's, you know, taking up some time as well. You know, I like writing quite a bit, just as much as playing guitar and singing. You know, so it's weird. You know, I try to have a lot going on. You know, I also try to get outside. You know, so. I don't want to be too cramped up somewhere recording too much.
Yeah, get your vitamin D.
Yeah, get my vitamin D going.
So you said it'd been 4 months since you since you've been out busking, and you've got the short story writing and dabbling in films. How much does that cut into your playing?
You know, I haven't played as much lately. I'm a little bit out of practice. I used to practice about 10, 11 hours a day when I was first starting. You know, I practiced all the time. Like, I was really putting a lot into it. And I would take my guitar to school. Oftentimes I would try to get somewhere isolated so that I could play and nobody would figure out that I was playing, you know. And
sounds like me in middle school, but without a guitar.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely was a little bit of a loner, but I was cool with it, you know. It's good to be able to have that time, you know, to practice and everything, which I think over the years, just getting involved with so much in life, I try not to make everything about proficiency in music. I try to make it more about the spirit, you know, of what I'm trying to put out, you know. Sometimes if you focus too much on the technical aspects, it takes away from the greater whole, you know.
For sure.
Yeah. So you're not gonna have a metronome going then when you're in a recording studio.
Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't know how on time, off time I really am sometimes.
Well, man, Vincent, we appreciate you coming in, and I'm glad Dylan introduced us to you.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're gonna go out with another tune. Tell us what you're gonna take us out with.
This song is called Grain by Grain.
Cardinals follow me when I'm driving. I don't have time to prepare for lying. This conversation's tying us to future crying. I spend most nights alone, been haunted by my music and my lack of hope. And I really have good neighbors, most of them are busy writing papers for college and exams. I understand my knowledge of smart men's been wearing thin, so I labor and I savor all the time I have left. It seems I waste all of it. Cardinals follow me every single day, with Parker, Michael, Austin, and even Philip. My MGM to protocol makes us all some money, and I get told I'm talented by stranger honey bunnies. Ooh, what's this in my kitchen? Some methed out junkie looking for a missing apparition. I got some explaining to do for the lack of a pirate ship that's washed back on through. 'Cause I'm not set to sail, it's been far too long, and I'm busy working, wishing I could write a song to make a living. But for now I'm just righting wrongs, sucking on some peppermints. Oh yeah, 'cause they take stop the boat and sleep in rain.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. All right, Vincent, man, thanks for being here with us tonight.
Thanks,
Thank
brother.
you all very much.